Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
Look, 2020 has proven to be the year of many things, and the same for 2022. But if you're a small business, this could also be the year you switch to a better payroll. Gusto wasn't just built for small businesses, it was built for the people behind them. Their online payroll is easy to use. Gusto can automatically calculate paychecks and file all your payroll taxes, which means you have more time to run your business. Plus, Gusto does way more than payroll. Gusto helps with time tracking, health insurance, 401ks, onboarding, commuter benefits, offer letters, access to HR experts. You get the idea. It's super easy to set up and get started. If you're moving from another provider, they can transfer all your data for you. It's no surprise that 94% of customers are likely to recommend Gusto. And here's the best part. Because you're a listener to this podcast, you get 3 months totally free. All you have to do is go to gusto.com/compliance. That's gusto.com/compliance. I'm telling you, you're going to love Gusto. Get started today. The Daily Compliance News for October 8, 2021. The DOJ edition. And we begin with 2 stories from the Wall Street Journal Risk and Compliance Journal on the DOJ. The first one comes from Mingy Sun, announcing the Justice Department will set up a national cryptocurrency enforcement team. It will tackle investigations and prosecutions of criminal misuses of cryptocurrency and to recover the illicit proceeds from these crimes. The creation of the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team would be under the supervision of Assistant Attorney General Kenneth Polite and will focus on crimes committed by virtual currency exchanges and the mixing and tumbling services. The team will also help trace and recover assets lost to fraud and extortion. Next up, the Department of Justice will redouble its efforts in combating white-collar crime. A senior justice official, John Carlin, gave a first glimpse into the Biden administration's approach to white-collar crime, saying the agency would commit new resources and tools to weeding out wrongdoing by companies and their executives that harm national security. He announced that the agency would redouble its commitment to white-collar enforcement, and that one of the initiatives would be that the FBI would embed a unit of agents in the Department of Justice to help in white-collar crime enforcement, including corruption, antitrust, and market manipulation and healthcare fraud. The addition of these new resources has already begun. While the FBI typically works very closely with the FBI, the Department of Justice believes that this embedding will foster better results. And of course, the foreign bribery and corruption specifically targeted or specifically made illegal, rather, under the FCPA is now a national security concern of the Department of Justice. Carlin also said that NPAs and DPAs will be relooked at, saying, quote, "We need to make sure those who get the benefit of such an agreement comply with their responsibilities." Next up, apparently a shareholder revolt at Tesla is in the works, as Tesla investors will vote on to whether to oust James Murdoch and Elon Musk's brother, Kimball Musk, from the board. This vote will take place, and this is a part of an ongoing corporate kind of realignment where shareholders are being much more aggressive. Some investors are hoping to oust the 2 which were hand-selected by Musk. And to be successful, it would represent a huge rebuke to Tesla. And lest you think that's not possible, you can certainly think of Exxon in their rebuke earlier this year. And finally, lawmakers have called for a crackdown on financial enablers after the Pandora Papers revelations. Law firms, accounting firms, consultancy firms, and trust firms that help shield, hide, and launder money are going to come under congressional scrutiny. And indeed, there is a new proposed legislation in Congress called the Enablers Act, which would amend the Bank Secrecy Act to make these types of conducts illegal as identified in the Pandora Papers. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.